Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Code Remix Weekly. I'm your usual host, Sam. Joining me not is Tim, who's busy this week. Um, and I am noticing now that we've started that I'm having trouble sharing my screen, which is going to make all of this a little bit difficult. So I may need to, now that we've started, leave and rejoin and see if allow it work this time. No, how annoying. I'll be right back and maybe we'll get this screen share working correctly. All right, let's try this screen sharing thing again. There we go. Worked this time. Much better. So, yeah, welcome to Code Remix Weekly. We have a few announcements this week. We've got a couple trainings coming up. There's still time to register for these. We've got authoring Open Rewrite Recipes Fundamentals next Tuesday. I think I'm going to be teaching this one. Merlin may or may not be there as well. We'll see. And then Thursday, the 19th, we have teaching AI to write better Open Rewrite recipes, which this stream today is going to touch upon many of these subjects. So look forward to either of those. Uh, in addition to that, we have the Code Remix Summit coming up in Miami in May 11th and through the 13th. And increasingly large sections of the speaker lineup are out. And there's some heavy hitters in here. We got people from Morgan Stanley and Google and Squarespace and Sean Sullivan, a frequent Open Rewrite contributor. We got people from Meta and Netflix and all kinds of good stuff. And very soon, the super early bird registration, which is $400 off, is going away. So if you are thinking about attending, it would be cheaper to register now than later. So I encourage you to register now. All right. Yeah, there we go. Registered for both. You love to hear it. In addition to our conference, we have also sponsored the OOP conference, which, looking at the dates, might be why Merlin might not be teaching a class next week because he's going to be busy speaking at OOP, which is in Munich, the February 10th through 13th. And Merlin is going to be talking about some cool stuff. So be sure to check out his presentations if you are at that conference. Very good. Then let's see. We've also put out a couple new patch releases of Open Rewrite recently. The latest is 8.72.6, but the that was just 9 hours ago. But since the last time we've been on this program last week, there were also the 8.27.5 and 4 releases, which have quite a few new features and mostly a whole lot of bug fixes. The Python support has been coming along. The Docker support has been coming along. I added to the framework a new precondition called Unique, which is a performance optimization targeted, or not Unique. It's called Singleton. Unique was the old name. Probably should change this in the release notes while I'm here. I don't know if anyone reads it, but on the off chance somebody does, I'll just fix that. There we go. So the singleton precondition uh, is a thing you can use to mark either declarative or non-declarative recipes as containing as being non-duplicate, saying that there should only be one of these guys in your recipe run. And so if you have, because it's like a very common mistake that people make when setting up declarative recipes, that they will accidentally include stuff that's already included. So, for example, I've seen many people be like, well, I want the Spring Boot 3 or 4 migration, and I also want like the Java 21 upgrade. So I'm going to make a declarative recipe that includes both of those, not not knowing necessarily that the Spring migration already includes the Java 21 migration. And so it is purely wasted time to include it again. And so the singleton precondition, which I've now added to most of the open rewrite recipes where that's applicable, uh, prevents there from being a performance hit from doing that. So even if you don't ever pay any further attention to that or use it yourself, your runs of large composite recipes may silently be benefiting from behind the scenes. Okay, and so that brings us to uh, the subject for today, where I wanted to talk a little bit more about this blog post that we put up very recently about how we are now bundling Claude Skills into the modern CLI. And this is handy for those of you who might not have read this blog post or might not be familiar with the concept. A skill as provided to Claude, or I imagine similar LLMs or agentic systems, although I don't. Claude's the only one I've personally been messing with recently. Uh, are just plain language instructions that tell the agent how to best do something, right? Giving it pointers to resources or instructions. And now we have bundled several of these skills into the modern CLI, and so there is now uh, an easy command in the CLI for installing these things, and we're going to be updating that continually. Right now, the skills that are in there are kind of a first draft of what some of these relevant techniques for recipe authoring. Or for doing telling Claude how to run recipes across your code with the CLI is easy to install with this one quick command. And so, if you have the modern CLI installed, and I usually build it from source and make M my shortcut for it. Whoop. This would work better if I wrote the letters in their appropriate order. It is simple as running this command, and so that then within a Claude session, you can easily reference the skills that this has imparted, and kind of the ones that are in here that we're going to look at are there's one for creating recipes, which helps Claude to know whether it should create a YAML recipe or a refaster recipe or a imperative recipe, as well as some tips about how to do that. So that in a Claude session, you could just say /modern, and it will show you now the skills. So if I open this guy up, I'm going to switch the model. I had this on Sonnet, but I generally find that Opus works better. So let's try this again. I'm going to say get. I had a draft going in here, but nothing I really feel the need to keep. Actually, maybe I'll keep this text file. Anyway, so in here, when you're in a Claude session, after you've installed these skills, if you type /modern, you'll see the skills that have been imparted for creating a recipe or running a recipe or for analyzing the impact of data tables. And we had talked some about Modi in the past, which is still available in the chat interface on the modern SaaS, where you can where this is more or less a similar concept, where the ability to run recipes in the modern SaaS is something that has been exposed to LLMs via MCP. And so this is a way of kind of bringing your local agent similar capabilities in terms of being able to ask it natural language questions and have it answer and respond with recipes or with the recipe runs or with the creation of recipes. And yeah, we're going to be updating these skills continually over time. And so I thought today we might take a look at the create recipe skill, maybe looking into what we can add to like Jackson 3 has come out somewhat recently, and we have a Jackson migration in here. And so I had earlier before we started asked Claude to take a look at the Jackson 3 release notes and to identify any gaps in that migration and to are comparing the comparing what we have in the migration in this repository to what was in the Jackson 3 release notes, and to uh, see what recipes we could create in order to add that. Now, my first attempt at this, where I was admittedly using the Sonnet model, which isn't as good for most things as the Opus model, it had gotten this idea in its head that Object Mapper needed to be migrated to JSON Mapper, which isn't really true. So even with these skills, you have to still have to guide it down the right path. So what I think we will do is delete this and put this back in a state where we will give the better model a crack at this as augmented with the recipe writing skill. So let's see, of these kind of three gaps, need to determine if this goes to stream reads JSON via the Jackson 3 documentation. So let's say I want to do create recipe and invoke this skill, and you can give it, yeah, you can give it instructions right there after the create recipe argument, or just do the create recipe kind of command. Oh, yeah. Here's the thing, where it's Claude plugin update to mean config node. Yeah, so here's where it was checking the CLI version, and this is something you're not going to run into because you're not building from or telling it to run from a snapshot like I am. But I will just tell it when invoke. I'll tell it how to invoke my snapshot build. When invoking the mod CLI, do so by running java dash jar, and I just got to get the file path to where I am building that. That is going to be under, got in my code, modern CLI, mod build, libs, and then debug. And then, at least for the rest of this session, it will know to use my snapshot build when invoking this. Yep. So here it's going to guide me through the process of creating a recipe. And I was like, yeah, and I do want to say, look at the Jackson 3 migration gaps.md file. Let's work on the feature constant migration. And while that's thinking about how it wants to do that, I am going to find it some, yes, you can read that. So it's looking up the Jackson 3 migration guide, which I think we probably have had a link to in this document already. Yep. So that should help with figuring out what needs to be done. And maybe I will also try to help it out by looking up maybe a list of the things that, I don't need to see this in diff view. I can just have this open. Maybe I'll try to find a list of the JSON parser feature to stream read feature or similar JSON read feature. Okay, so found this wiki page. Found this page on the on Jackson our wiki page, whatever kind of page. This Jackson thing where they are doing an overview of the feature, and it looks like they link to further ones. I wonder if we're going to get a. Hey there. I wonder if we're going to get a nice, neat list of the nice, neat list of the changes. These are just links back to this. Here we go. So here's one in this Avro module. So there's one. Keep an eye on those. Here's one for Smile. We use Smile in a few places. So I want to make sure that that is migrated. XML, that is very common. YAML, also very common. Okay, so maybe I will just start feeding it some links. Okay, it looks like it already has figured out what several of these are. Yep, it went and looked these up. See the gap, YAML handles format specific, stream read feature. Cool. And so the skill should be guiding us entering plan mode. So we've gathered some information from the exploration. Let me write the initial findings to the plan. I wonder, is it still using this migration gaps as its plan? It looks like it. Hopefully everyone watching is having a good day. It'd be more fun to have someone here to banter with. It'd be nice if Tim was here to chat back and forth, but oh well. Yeah, so okay, so we're having Claude generate the plan here. Yeah, we do want to do change static field to method. Let me see if I can give it a more precise pointer than that. So I'm curious where it's going to search for this, because we have told it in the skill to look at the docs.openrewrite.org, but I don't know if it. I'm going to let it do that. I want to see what it comes up with. But no, I don't think a web search should be necessary. Maybe this is a situation where I should just tell it more. Okay. Here we go. It found it. I was going to tell it explicitly to go to this link, but it did find the appropriate link to the change static method documentation. So the skill is working, I suppose, in telling it to go here. And this will tell it what all the parameters are for that recipe. And now the only question is, let's see. So this guy is in. This is in just basic rewrite Java, so it shouldn't need to add any new dependencies to this recipe module. So let's see what it figures out to do with this now that it has most of the relevant information here. Oh, that's a great suggestion, Kevin. I should just do Tim's voice as well. Man, that's just what we need. Me imitating a Netherlands accent to myself. I don't know if that's cancel worthy, but I don't know if I want to risk it. Maybe you should come on. Yeah, Kevin, I'd be happy for you to join the call and do your best Tim impression. I can send you a link to join right now. On, of course, the condition that you are doing your best Tim impression the entire time. All right, everyone watching, I've sent Kevin a link to join the stream. So if he doesn't show up here and do a perfect Tim impression, it's because he's a coward. I'm sorry. There's just no other way around it. And you don't have to learn Dutch, Kevin. You just have to learn a Dutch accent. That's really what's being called on for here, because it's not like Tim usually is speaking Dutch when he's on the program. He's speaking English very well, but with his accent. Yeah, there's a lot of people who want you to join the program now, Kevin. Yinta's in for it. Jada's in for it, but no pressure. But you are we are all going to look down on you if you run from this opportunity to show off your Dutch accent skills. Kevin is very good with languages. I know he has learned enough Portuguese, despite knowing mostly English and Spanish, in order to conduct a business meeting, a demo to a Brazilian company in Portuguese on short notice. So when he talks about learning Dutch in just 2 weeks, he might be able to do that. Some people are good at languages. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? So Claude has now made it far enough to spit out a plan for how to go about migrating these JSON parser features to their Jackson 3 equivalents. And it has noticed that the source main resources meta-inf rewrite Jackson 2.3 YAML file is the one that it wants to. That's the one that contains the migration from Jackson 2 to Jackson 3. Hey, there he is. How's it going, Kevin? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for
Hey,
being a guest on the program on such short notice.
yeah,
So how
here I
is
am.
your Dutch accent?
How is my Dutch accent? Let's see. So, hi, I'm Tim.
Okay, this is pretty good. This is starting off strong.
I'm Tim, and these are our announcements for the week.
Good, good. Yeah, this is already better than I would do. Bringing you on was the right choice. How you doing, buddy?
Great. I'm doing very well.
Have you ever been to the Netherlands?
No, not. Wait, I can't do Tim's accent and also say that I've never been to the Netherlands. So, no,
It's
I've
probably
not
it's
yet.
Yeah, it's probably easier to do an impression when we're sticking to things that you've more specifically heard him say. So
Yep.
so you could just do the Tim accent for anything Open Rewrite or Modern related, but when we're not talking about that, you could do your regular accent. Oh yeah, do a cheers.
Oh, that's when I leave the stream. I can't do a cheers yet.
Okay, yeah, we'll save it for the end. That is where it's
Yep.
most appropriate. But yeah, so you've never been to the Netherlands?
I've never been to the Netherlands, and I love bouldering. I love
Yeah.
climbing rocks and putting myself in danger.
Yeah, yeah, and also attending lots of conferences. Yeah, that's pretty
Yes.
good. That's pretty good. Um, I have been to the Netherlands, and it's lovely. I bet you'd like it if you went. It's a very flat country, but very beautiful. And I love how easy it is to ride around on a bike without much
Ah,
fear that you're
yes.
going to be hit by a car. It's very easy to get around by train. That's nice. But I'm not sure how Tim came to be a bouldering fan, because it's completely flat. There's like, you have to drive to another, or more likely take a train to another country to find any elevation gain in order to climb up it. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge for Tim's rock climbing escapades, I imagine.
They have to. There's a lot of fake. There's a lot of like rock climbing walls, right? So fake boulders.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Yeah, there's the gyms. I've got a rock climbing gym near me. I should try going to that more often. Do you ever do rock climbing, or
I
only when you're doing
haven't.
a Tim
No, I
impression?
think yeah, only when I'm doing a Tim impression. Kevin, have not. That's not true. I have at Boy Scout camp back when I was, I don't know, like 15 years old. however many years ago that was. And I was it was a horizontal rock climbing wall, and
Mhm.
I was not great at it, let's say. Like most things involving
Wait, hold on.
physical
A
dexterity.
horizontal, we just rushed right past horizontal rock climbing wall. Is a floor what you're describing? Because I'm going to be significantly less impressed if that's
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
it's just called walking. The rocks are just a path.
You're actually describing cobblestones. Be like, yeah, man, I've climbed over lots of rocks.
So, and yeah, we went to Pompeii last year, and most of that was horizontal rock climbing.
Oh, nice. I'm actually going to be going to Pompeii soon,
Ooh, nice.
for my honeymoon. With Genevieve and I are going to Italy in March, and there's lots of great stuff to see. But I wanted to be sure to see Pompeii specifically, since there's been so many amazing archaeological finds coming out of there, particularly the graffiti,
Oh yeah,
because it's one of the few places where like graffiti from the ancient world is preserved. And I don't know Latin, and I don't know, I won't be able to read it without a guide or anything. But I've seen pictures and translations of graffiti saying like so and so is a loose woman, or this guy's cheap, like screw him,
yep.
or the and that feels just so authentic, reminding us that the ancients, as it were, not so different.
Not so
Uh,
different. Yep.
so
Yeah,
I feel like that'll
yeah.
give me
Pompeii
a
was great. There's like lots of vulgar jokes and things like that there. Yeah, not so different from our generation. But no, a horizontal climbing wall is just a wall. But instead of
uh-huh.
climbing up, you do climb up very slightly, but then you climb across.
I
And so
see.
imagine like a vertical rock climbing wall just
Yeah.
turned, rotated 90 degrees.
Yeah, I am again now picturing a floor, which is making it less
Not
impressive.
that 90 degrees. So like this is a vertical one. It's like
Uh-huh.
that, not like
Oh,
that.
okay. All right. Okay. So you are hanging off of a wall. It's
Yes.
just that you are proceeding from left to right, like Mario, like a video game character.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like Mario in Super Mario World when he's climbing on the fence. Yeah, that's exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Exactly what I'm picturing. Okay, that is a bit more a bit more impressive. Yeah, I imagine there are many of that kind of rock climbing wall in the Netherlands. Uh,
Oh, we bantered long enough that Claude has completed.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Let's see. Yeah, so we have modified some files, and it has figured out that it should be adding some of the new migrations into this Jackson 2.3 YAML file, and it has spit out an entire list of the transforming the old and busted constants to the new hot constants. And so let's see. We had also added a test for this, and Claude says it passes. Let's see if it actually does. I mean, I could probably see in my console where it ran the build and where it ran the tests at some point, but we were too busy talking about rock climbing on floors and our bad Dutch accents, or your. I don't know if it's bad. Tim will have to be the ultimate
It's
judge of
probably
whether or not
bad.
your accent
Yeah.
is bad. And let's be clear, it's not so much a Dutch impression as it is a Tim impression.
Yep.
So if you're like, well, I'm Dutch and I don't sound anything like that. Well, that's okay. This is about Tim, not you. Uh,
And it's
let's
also
let's.
with love. We are very big fans of Tim here.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It is for want of a Tim that we are
Exactly.
in this position right now. And if he doesn't like the accent, well, this will just teach him to leave me to my own devices without him as co-host. Uh, so he'll just have to be sure to be here next time. Yeah. So wait, we ran this test and it passed. So this is looking pretty good to start. Where we've got these, we got to successfully generate this YAML recipe and even include it in the broader migration. Now, let's see, with this remove redundant feature flags. Okay, so that doesn't look like a duplicate. Now, I do feel like it's a good idea to spot check that these are actually real, So if I, because, one thing about working with an LLM, you can never be entirely sure that it didn't hallucinate something, particularly in a case like this where, fully believe that the recipe will turn this into this, but is this actually something that is in the Jackson 3 migration, or is it something that just plausibly seemed like it might exist in the Jackson 3 migration? So I'm just going to do a quick Google for this one. And let's see what we get. So we got JSON read feature. And is this the after? Yeah, so it's still going to be under JSON read feature. Okay, so this is a link to the Jackson
2.10.
Yes, this is 2.10. Now, it could well be that this was something in enum that was made available in like 2 places. So let me try to find out. JSON parser. Let's search for this.
I'm looking at Jackson Databind 3.x README, and it does include JSON read feature allow unquoted property names. So it was kind of hard to find that because Google has not sourced
Indexed
all of that yet. It's not indexed all
Okay.
that yet, but
Okay, all right. So this is Google's fault though. I'm not immediately finding
yes,
the
exactly.
appropriate result. That's good. That's good. Okay, well, we should probably. Oh, good. We should probably look over these more closely before blindly committing this directly to the rewrite Jackson recipe migration. But I think we've already kind of seen how it could be handy to have this Claude skill for writing recipes and to more or less point it at a README that describes the migration you want in plain text and start getting an open rewrite recipe to migrate out on the other side of that interaction. Yeah.
Creates
Have you
you a
messed
great
with
starting point and gives you like it's more reviewing at this point, but because imagine if you had to type that entire migration yourself.
Right? Just these AI tools have definitely made me lazier about typing than I was before.
Yes.
It was always kind of tedious, but now I'm now I do find myself being like rearrange the loop constant, rather than doing it myself, kind of thing. A lot of the time. Have you found that these AI tools have affected your moment to moment typing as a programmer?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I could say if you'd asked me this on Monday, I could have probably said I hadn't written a line of code yet in 2026. That's no longer true, like by hand. That's no longer true because I do most of my day is spent arguing with Claude now. So it's forced me to get better at explaining exactly what result I want to achieve, and
Mhm.
then the how to know if I've achieved that result,
Mhm.
and then making sure that neither I nor Claude lose sight of that result that I'm trying to achieve. And so, since the open rewrite skills that come with the modern and open rewrite skills that come with the modern CLI now
Mhm.
are designed to do exactly that, to explain what, when you're creating a recipe, is what does a good recipe look like and things like that.
Mhm.
So that does a lot of the uh, cuts through a lot of the necessity of explaining to Claude yourself what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly. Yeah, and and we are going to be keeping these skills up to date going forward. So just a periodic invocation of the latest modern CLI version with that Claude skill update command will keep those skills getting polished as we continue to polish them. Let's see. So the recipe writing is the one that I think is most interesting. We should probably also try running some recipes. And I am just going to make sure. that I have an organization checked out to run some recipes on. So I will copy down the default organization. So I'll be like mod git sync modern, and I'll put it in the default folder. That's interesting. Failed to download LST with HTTP 401. So I was unauthorized for this one, but the others were okay. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that is interesting.
404 is fine. It's just interesting that I get an authorization error when I'm obviously downloading all of these LSTs from the same Artifactory instance. It's not like rewrite recipe bomb is particularly sensitive or secure, so that's a little. Well, I might have to look at what that's about, but it's
Where it
probably
thinks it's
transitory.
downloading that from. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's trying to grab it from somewhere else for some reason. No idea, but it's not particularly important here. So anyway, so I have this default folder now, and it is all set up for me to go do some recipe run by hand in here, but I don't want to do a recipe run by hand. Um, let's do this run recipe command and see how it starts prompting me. Oh, okay. I'm be curious to see what it does now. Will it know that it needs to? This looks like a hallucination. This is not a
It
valid
is, yeah.
command. Yeah, and this is probably because I am running this inside of this project. It is perfectly possible to do this. We would just need to um, so we can say to run a recipe built from this project. LW publish to local run mod config recipes jar install gav. Will it figure out what the gav coordinates of this project are if I don't tell it? I think this is just an IO. Yeah, because this is an org that open rewrite. Recipe Jackson latest. 2, 3. Mod run to, and I'll tell it I specifically want to run on this default organization. Recipe equals recipe FQN. So yeah, so this seems like an example of something I could include in the skill of like, okay, if you want to run a recipe from the project you're in, these are steps to do it. And there's probably a streamlined way to do this, right? Because the modern IntelliJ plugin has a setup where, let's see, java-jar config recipes jar install. That looks good.
Just to be clear, so that latest, because you published to Maven local, it's going to find the one that you published to Maven local when you pass in that latest, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent.
Now that what has happened sometimes is like if I have an old repository cloned, or if I have a repository cloned and it's not at the absolute,
Doesn't
like
have
if
the
it's not the
latest
latest
tags.
release, yeah, like if
Yeah.
I haven't done a little git pull in a while and a new release has happened since then, that latest might not pick up the one I just published to Maven local. It might pick up the one from the public artifact repository on the internet. Recipe definition is not showing up. So we ran this rewrite Jackson. So this ran. Let's expand this a little bit. Config recipe search Jackson. No such exception. No such element exception. I see. So it searched for what recipes were available, but was maybe not able to deal with the interactive portion of this in order to select a recipe from this menu. But it was like, I don't see the recipe definition in there at all. And it was looking for, was it was it trying to do this feature constant migration?
Yeah, you'll probably want to go to the last tool call, right, to see what it was trying to do, or is this the
Yeah,
only
I
one
was
that
just
you have?
well, no, I think there's another one, but I did want to see just does this actually show up in the list here? Migrate Jackson 2.x methods. Yeah, and did
Oh, I
it?
see.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like it found this recipe. Recipe isn't showing up. The YAML looks correct. Okay, so it is running the larger migration, but it might be running a version of it that doesn't include this. Did it run the Gradle publish to Maven local? I didn't see. See, so if I expand this, did we get? Okay, so we
It
did
did.
do the publish to Maven local, and we did get the recipe jar install along with some. Looks like we were trying to do the. This is something we should probably. Yeah. So we ended up writing out the progress bar message to the log here a bunch of times, but it did install successfully. I wonder if
In
there's a
that
way we.
recipes.log, I wonder if that recipes.log that it links there includes the actual version that it installed.
That's a good idea. So it came up with 1.16.0.snapshot, and
Should
it
be.
loaded it from my local M2. So that seems correct, unless there wasn't like a release of Rewrite Jackson when I wasn't looking or anything, right? It's still, yeah, okay. So that should still be the latest. So why didn't it find? Okay, all right. So now it's running this other recipe that I don't think really isn't going to help us very much because we already know it's not in there. Why isn't that in there? If I do this manually. Now I've got a recipe definition in here. And we're publishing 1.16.0.snapshot. Egg recipes jar install. I mean, I know we just have the logs do this, but like superstitiously, perhaps.
Yeah.
We'll just fill in the exact version number. And I'm curious, do I have, just take a look over in my folder or my Maven local. Yeah, we've got this, and it was built mere moments ago. And I want to do, oops, pasted in some characters I didn't want.
Oh,
Nope.
do we call? Does this load from the recipes.csv in the jar? Do we need to call generate recipe CSV?
Oh, that's probably what it is. Yeah, I gotta fix these. I gotta fix these build plugins so it regenerates that automatically. That's got to be what it is. Yeah, we've
Hat
got
tip
this.
to Yenta here who messaged me that on the side.
That's what it is. Yeah, I'm not used to doing that yet because we didn't used to have to. And when I'm done changing the build plugins, we still won't have to manually remember to do that.
Excellent.
But yeah, so for right now, there is that. What is it? Generate recipe marketplace.
I had to do this super recently.
Yeah, so there's recipe CSV generate. That's probably is.
Yep.
Yeah, the idea is that that now, and if I do a get status, yeah, that This
Yep.
recipes.csv file is there. Okay, so this isn't Claude's fault. This is our build plugins. Well, this is our the dust of us changing the recipe jar format a little bit and not having all of our build plugins worked out to make it fully seamless and automatic.
Yeah, 27 recipes. That looks better.
Yeah, 27 is one more than 26. Okay, I fixed it. Resume trying to run. Nope, did not want to copy that file path.
So, Sam, how are you liking working on Linux now?
Honestly, it's good. It's good, man. I don't really miss Windows at all. There were just a couple. There were a couple games that I used to play that the anti-cheat only accepts Windows. So if you're playing like, if you want to play like Battlefield 6 or Marvel Rivals or Valorant or something or Destiny, uh, I don't know about. Although I think people were saying that I haven't tried it, that Arc Raiders works on Linux. But anyway, if you're playing like an online competitive multiplayer game, the anti cheat might not accept it. But I haven't really been playing any games like that recently. But everything else I've been wanting to play or use as developer tools has just gone very smoothly and easily. Aside from software and development in video games, I will sometimes do digital painting on my PC. But my preferred art program, Krita, is that works just fine on Ubuntu, and my digitizer tablet. I've got a
Nice.
Wacom tablet with the stylus and everything. I was like, this is device compatibility is going to be a place where this is difficult. This is going to be a pain, but I didn't have to install an extra driver or anything. It just worked immediately, and I was like, oh, well,
Nice.
that was easier than expected. Ironically, one of the most difficult parts of migrating to a Linux system from using Windows before was my Logitech mouse apparently has some kind of funky proprietary
Ah,
system. So I had to initially, the very first time I booted it up, the mouse would move around, but like clicking didn't do anything.
oh.
So like I could move the mouse, but I couldn't click on anything. So I was using the stylus of the tablet. Like I thought the mouse would work and the tablet wouldn't work, right? And so I
Mhm.
was very surprised that it was the other way around until I could go and find like an input remapping tool called Piper
Oh,
in
wow.
order to what was it? No, what was it? Piper? Yeah, I think it was Piper. No, I forget the name of it because I set it up once, and then it worked ever fine ever since then. To just remap the button presses, but now it works fine. But yeah, if I was non technical, I might have run into some of the hiccups I ran into. Might have derailed me, but I mean, I've been pretty much past all of that for a while, and have not really had any problems. Do, do,
Excellent.
do. Yeah, so that's been good. Although been uh yeah, it might be. What do you usually develop on? Are you on a Mac these days,
Mac, yeah.
Kevin? Yeah.
Yep. At work, it's all Mac ever since 2017, and
Mm-hmm.
boy, I gotta say, switching from Windows to Mac was very similar.
Yeah.
It was I was immediately more productive because I think the main reason that Mac makes you more productive, besides being like Unix compatible and
Uh-huh.
whatnot, is that you have an additional shortcut key.
Uh-huh.
So you can add, like, I can have up to 4 different modifiers and create more
Mm-hmm.
shortcuts for everything.
I
So
see. I've occasionally had to use a Mac for development before, and I've been very annoyed with that fourth shortcut key, mostly in like translating my existing
yeah,
hotkey knowledge. Because most stuff, Control C becomes Command C, right? But then
Exactly.
every now and then they throw in that third Option key somewhere, and I'm like, what is that? But for my own custom hotkeys, yeah, I absolutely could see how that would be handy. It can be uh, crowded when you only have Control and
Yep.
Alt to work with on the keyboard.
Yep. What's really the only thing that annoys me still is when I switch between my keyboard. I have just a regular keyboard that I plug into my Mac and my Windows machine, and when I use my keyboard on my Mac, because the command and what is it? The command and Option keys are
Hmm.
in the opposite order. Oh, I think you
Hmm.
lost my video feed because
Yeah,
I opened my
you're looking a
MacBook.
little frozen, but less frozen every minute.
All right. Well, that'll be resolved here in a second. Excellent.
Had to
Well, it's
divert
very
some
warm here, so
GPU.
very easy not to be frozen.
That's good. That's good. Uh, yeah, have you been experimenting with some of these coordination or orchestration tools for LLMs like Conductor? I was hearing some
Yeah.
good things from Jonathan about using that one. What's that been like? Because I find I've been meaning to try it out myself, but candidly, I haven't gotten around to it yet. I often find that even with just a handful of LLM agents running, I got to babysit them a little bit, right? Even in this process, we see a couple times where it was trying to do something that wasn't quite right, and some of that is just like, oh well, I just need to refine the skills, right? I need to, so not the error. Some of the mistakes or errors or problems we ran into were not the LLM's fault. It was some other thing that needed to be fixed. But the plural of hiccups, if you're running a dozen of these guys, that's just too many, whether or not it's the fault of the system. So what has your experience with that been like?
So I do use Conductor, and I have been for what, a month or a couple months now. And Conductor does something that I only usually am doing 2 or 3 things at once. I don't have it
Hmm.
going crazy and spinning
Doing
up
like
like
15
work
things.
trees for 15 things, because I can't. I have not yet developed the skill to successfully manage 15 different things happening at the same time. I
Yeah.
am working on that, but so it's usually like up to 4 maybe. And Conductor, the
Hmm.
nice thing about Conductor is it will beep at you in a very
Hmm.
pleasant tone when it's ready for your
That's
input.
so important. That's so important. When my like darn toaster oven is done with something, it screams, and I'm like, it's just a bagel. Chill. It's so stressful that it has just such an angry beep. It's a great toaster oven, except for that one thing, but that might be enough to replace it. So yeah, I think very important that if somebody's going to beep at you a lot, it better be a nice beep, or or that toaster or conductor or whatever it is getting chucked. So good beep is crucial. Oh, but real quick, we got a question in the chat about
Oh
whether
yeah.
these skills can be used in other coding agents like Codex or GitHub Copilot. I will say I haven't tried that personally, but the skills themselves, when you get down to it, are more or less markdown files of plain language instructions. So I would be the specifics of like the Claude the like install the of like how the command um tells Claude to use the skills might not translate, but the markdown files themselves would almost certainly be things that Codex or Copilot or similar could interpret. And I would be shocked if we did not end up at some point adding, plugin installation commands for the other popular LLM systems. So great question. Thanks for asking it. Uh, yeah, and hopefully that helps. But yeah, tell me a little bit more about how using Conductor has been going for you, Kevin. So it's you're not doing 15 things at once yet, and the beeps aren't bad, so that's cool.
Well, and so I'll send them off to go do their thing with very explicit instructions. And then Conductor decides when to spin up subagents or not. So I don't even have to think about, I can ask it to, but I don't really have to think about it. I can let it go do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I'll go tell it, go check in on if one hasn't finished. Like, I think last Friday, I was like, this is going to be a process that, we went back and forth for a while. And then finally, I was like, you know what? I got to go focus on something else. And so I told it, I'm going to go focus on something else for a few hours. I'll come back in 8 hours I want you to set up the environment, test this, make sure that it fails, then you make it succeed, and then when I come back, I want to see the resulting. And so it ran for like 6 hours, just I'm sure just churning through tokens, right? But ran for like 6 hours. When I came back, it gave me like a report of everything it had done, and it was, I had a pull request that I could review and go look at it. That was pretty close to what I wanted in the end. It was a fairly complicated thing. We could talk about it offline. What the thing I was actually working on, because it's a new thing that will launch at some point. But yeah, it did it. It did exactly what I wanted it to do, and when I came back, it was working how I wanted it to. So
nice.
yeah,
well, that's
so
all you can ask for it and get down to it.
Right, exactly. Because when I was babysitting a lot, it was like, okay, now try it. It was telling me, now try it, now try it. It's like, no, come on, you have all of the commands to do this. You can try it. I'll give you a bunch of my compute. Go for it.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, I'm interested to hear more, and to hear about how that went for you. So that's very cool. Yinta asked a really insightful question. Theoretically, could the skill also use the active recipe file to point to the Gradle build directory to set the class path? Yes, it absolutely could, Yinta. I mean, that's what the modern IntelliJ plugin is doing. So the same sequence of steps would obviously also work here. It'd just be a matter of having told it to do that instead of the publish to Maven local thing that I did. So I agree with you. That's probably the better way to go. Although, does that work with a YAML recipe bundled in a resources file? Probably. I mean, I don't know. Like the IntelliJ plugin only adds that set as active recipe thing to Java recipes, not recipes defined in YAML. So I'd have to double check. But there's no reason that shouldn't work or could not be made to work. Let's see. I am curious what is going on.
Yeah, what is it doing? Why did it take? Why did it time out running the recipe after 10 minutes?
Yeah, this default repository group is only like a dozen repositories, and like replace constant with another constant. I mean, there's no way there was like 20 million of these in these half dozen repositories, right? Like, what is the big deal here? So if I go over to my default folder, we got a run, and I don't know which run ID this was, but it must be the most recent one, which would be Darren run.
Sorry, do you want to take Yenta's comment off the bottom so that we can see your typing line? Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it does. The newest version also support YAML. Okay, good to know. Then yeah, absolutely, Yenta. Yeah, so cannot access. Okay, well, not that one. So let's see. So the newest one would be this guy. So the one that ends in 4738. Then we have a run.log. Let's look at this guy. Okay, so this. So I've got a daemon that started up, and then apparently never did anything at all. That doesn't. I could see why that wouldn't finish if the daemon started and then nothing else happened. All right, well, that's something for me to go debug about why you probably won't run into this problem because you're unlike me. This is what I get for running a copy that I've built from source off of head rather than a released version that has undergone some amount of testing and quality control. So when you do this, it probably won't sit there doing nothing for 10 minutes because you'll be using a released version of the CLI, not whatever the heck bytes I am running. So yeah, so I think that is about where we'll end the stream for today. Let's see. So cheers to you, Tim Kevin, and and thanks for joining me on short notice. You've been an excellent guest.
Yes, it was quite fun, and I look forward to the next time. Cheers.
Cheers. Wonderful. We got the soundboard going now. Yeah, we got to get some custom sounds in there. I like the canned ones are great, of course, but I feel like we can bring a little more personality to it. Anyway, thanks a lot, everyone. Until next week. Bye.
Yeah, cheers.